Hello, one and all, and welcome to Beyond BMR. Thank you for joining me on this, Tuesday night, election night. High stress, high octane for everybody. I know. Stay in tune here. Take a break from watching TV because it is what it is. Take a time out and disappear into Neverland with Bryan Bowden tonight. That's right. Strange things tonight. Strange things. Joining me in Studio B, the lovely Krista from the Blondes and the Booze Paranormal Podcast. If you're new here, please subscribe to Bigfoot Michigan Rob on YouTube, the Blondes and the Booze Paranormal Podcast on YouTube, as well as Texas Front Porch found on YouTube. Turn on your alert bells. I do not announce the schedules and the times we start. Most of you know that by now. However, we all forget. You won't forget if the alert bell is on. 11% of you have the alert bell on. And, I'm looking for 33%, you guys. Turn on the alert bell. You won't miss a show. The super chat is open. It's a great way to help support what we all do around here. Also, you can become a BMR pirate. Arr, mateys. Join today. Become a pirate. Join the many. Join the few. I guess that just depends on your point of view. Thank you so much for that. It's appreciated. And you know what else is also appreciated? For the many of you for tuning on in, is my books. Bigfoot Michigan represents True Cryptid Encounters Book 1. Book 2 just came out 3 months ago. Book 1's been out for a little over a year. For all of you that bought it, thank you so much. Don't forget Christmas time. Yes, dare I say Christmas. They're already playing Christmas music in Michigan. Yeah. I don't turn into the Christmas music just yet because I don't want to be Christmas out by Thanksgiving. Type Bigfoot Mr. Rob in your Amazon browser. Leave a review. It does help promote book sales. Subscribe. You can also find us on Spreaker, iHeartRadio, wherever podcasts are found. Thank you so much for that in advance. With that being said, I'm going to bring up the lovely Krista.
Hey.
Hey, Krista. What's happening?
Well, you know what? I heard you mention Christmas, and I got to tell you. So last night, I was coming home. It was dark, and I saw there was a house that had Christmas lights up already.
That's something else. Kind
of early still for me. I mean, I get some people are really into it, and that's fine, teach their own. But for me, that's just a little bit too early.
I love Christmas. It's one of my favorite holidays. My favorite holiday for the entire month of October just ended with Halloween, right?
Yep.
I do a lot of cool Halloween videos. We did some cool Halloween shows. And, half the people in my neighborhood don't have their damn jack-o'-lanterns and pumpkins off their porch yet. And, and they started blasting the Christmas music November 1st. I mean, where I live. Yeah. I was telling Brandy and I did a show the other night, and we were just talking about, we love Christmas, but boy, it's done and over, man, by Thanksgiving. I remember when we were all kids, Christmas started on Thanksgiving. Christmas music started on Thanksgiving. Keep it at that. And then what happens come December 26th, all the Christmas music's already off. I can dig some Christmas music through New Year's Eve. Then shut it off. Don't start November 1st, for God's sakes.
I agree with you. And also, I also saw the other day, I watch a lot of Tubi. You get a lot of those free movies. And Tubi had a Christmas commercial. I don't know about that. More early still for me.
Well, it's early for me, and I love Christmas. I love it as much as the next person. In fact, the month of December, I do 3 parties. I do one for my friends. I still do my annual party for all my bar members. When I sold the bar, I still do that for all my workers, and we still get together. We're still friends, and we always get together. Then we do a family thing, and then we do another family thing. I love it. Don't get me wrong, but no, November 5th already, you guys. I mean, no, I'm done with that. But anyway, we have
Yep, I hear you.
what do we got here? 5. I just seen. Somebody just we got 5 new. I can't pull it up for some reason.
5 new memberships.
No, Bob's gifted 5 Bigfoot Mr. Rob memberships, 5 new pirates to start the show. Thanks, Krista, for that. Thank you, Joe, for that. That's awesome. New members to the family. Welcome everybody aboard. That's all random. So congratulations for the new pirate members, our mateys. So yeah, I mean, I'm not going to get into the Christmas thing. It's still, I don't even like talking about it. We got a great show. We have a great guest, a good friend of mine and yours.
Yep.
So we're going to get this puppy started, and I'm going to bring up Sir Bryan.
Hey, everybody.
Hey.
Hey.
I agree with you. They're pushing things too quickly. I'd like to have Krampus first before the Christmas. Maybe Krampus music or
There you go.
Krampus is great.
I love that movie.
Yeah, it's just like the concept of Krampus is like if you're bad, he comes in your house and then you're done.
Right. And Krampus to me, when I first saw it, Krampus looks like a Wendigo.
A little bit. I think it's a really weird character. It looks like more like a demon or something like that.
Yeah.
Wendigos have the
horns.
Depends on what group you're with, because there are other kind of Krampus type characters that do a little bit more look like the Wendigo. You don't want the Wendigo in your house or anywhere near it.
You do not want to be associated with the Wendigo.
No. Thank you. Welcome.
You don't even want to research it. I mean, I don't want to take that chance.
Well, it's very interesting you said that, because I was doing an investigation long time ago, like 2015. And we went out and I went out with my buddy and we went over to Letchworth Village, and it's 28,000 square acres of like a mental hospital or a place where the illegitimate would be dropped off, deformed or whatever. And one of the guys we brought along was a former Air Force guy, retired. He goes, there's an Air Force underground base over here we can go into. So we were like, we're talking about it, and it was like, okay, maybe that that would be fun. Let's go check that out. Well, we get a phone call from our psychic Cindy Bailey Dove. She's in Arkansas, and she goes, "What the hell are you guys doing?" And we're like, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "Where are you going? What are you planning on?" I said, "We're not planning anything." She goes, "On anything, right?" She goes, "Plan on going down an underground base tunnel?" And we're like, "Holy crap!" Apparently, this guy tells us this. The day we go on this investigation, she contacted us the next day or 2 days later. In the middle of the night, she got transported to the base, and she was face to face with a Wendigo that was there.
Wow.
It scared the hell out of her, so much so
I'm sure
that she got up and she salted her property in Arkansas, and she was up all night from 3:00 in the morning. She said, "Don't go there."
Yeah,
this thing knew we were planning on going. So I was like, okay, we won't go. Sorry. Didn't mean to wake you up that way.
That's creepy.
It is creepy. I mean, the idea that what she's basically saying is there is something there like a Wendigo. It's aware of what's going on, because if you're on top of the land, it's hearing it, seeing it, or knowing it. And it knew how to get to us, and it went right to our psychic. And she had a couple of scratches too, and she's like, "Don't do it." She described it exactly. I said, does it look like this? She goes, "Yes." It had the horns and everything. I'm like, okay, we won't go.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty scary though. I mean, so
yeah,
it did give you a warning,
Oh yeah.
So I don't know. How do you take that? I mean, like, okay, warning not to go, or it could have not warned you and you could have been attacked.
It would, I took it a little bit in a weird way, and I'm not Mr. Tough Guy. I can be if you're dating my daughter. but I took it as, and this has happened to me, and my buddy is, that I was investigating with is Al Santoriga, if you know
Yes.
who he is. I think he tells some stories. I think,
He
I don't know.
does.
And
Yeah, he kind of does.
kind of does. What's interesting is this happens when Al and I are together or separate. When we go into a place, seriously, things start to scatter.
Wow.
And they don't want to deal with us. And I don't know what it is. I'm not going in there, I'm just going in normally to a place. We must have some kind of scent, air, or essence or vibration coming off. Like, don't mess with these guys. Like an alpha, if you take your dog that's being a real wise guy or girl, and you take them to a pet trainer who's an alpha, they know real quick who's the boss, and they don't mess around. And it's the same thing. So when she said this, part of the back of my head is there something that would happen? Like, do we have something together that scares the Wendigo? Which is very interesting.
Okay.
But I don't want to test it because that's not a nice thing to test. There's certain things in this wonderful community, I can do without, and I don't need to, step up to the plate for that one. But that's what I thought sometimes. Like, okay,
and well, since we on the topic of the Wendigo, I got to ask you: am I wrong? Did I read this wrong? The Wendigo, isn't that a curse that is placed on the Wendigo and his victims or the people that he comes across? If he places a curse on said individual, that the only way you can break the curse is to kill or take the life of a blood relative. Is that the Wendigo?
You're kind of in that ballpark. So in order to morph into that, it's kind of, what happens is you have to do certain things. It's the higher end of the black magic spectrum,
Okay.
and you literally are transformed into this creature. And in the process of doing it, you are doing some really, really unholy bad things to family
Okay.
members and
Okay.
of different ages. And it's
Yeah.
I don't want to discuss too much because I don't want you to get a strike. But
Yeah, got you.
think of what the worst thing you can do to somebody besides, unaliving. I mean,
Yeah.
it's really unnerving. There's also having relations with
Yeah.
unalive people, and then you get into it's like that's the full commitment. I'm giving you what that, and the worst of the worst, and then you're getting that conversion in the process. It's freaky. Matter of fact, people, indigenous people connected to the indigenous, and specific tribes or groups, they don't even want to mention that name. You don't bring it up. You don't talk about it. It's a little Harry Potter-esque, like he who should not be named.
Yeah. Is that kind of like when we're talking the Wendigo, the necromancy? Isn't that the spirit or say an entity that reads the souls of the dead or reads the, the unalive bodies? Is that kind of
A little bit. There's also, you're getting again into it's like I forgot the full term, but it deals with like capturing the dead and taking control of this, like gatekeeping the soul and deflowering the departed. And it's really, it's the opposite of anything that has light in it. It is the darkest of dark. There was people also confused the Wendigo, and I can't even remember the other creature's name. Another Native American spirit that converts and can change into
not
into
the skinwalker?
yeah, skinwalker. Sorry, I'm thinking one thing but they're the skinwalker, in my opinion, and I could be wrong. I mean, I think I have some native blood in me, but anybody that is native may want to correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there are certain stages where you go from human to skinwalker to the ultimate, which is Wendigo. There was many, I don't know how many years ago it was, but I actually listened to this. If this was taking place live, it was like ABC News was covering it like 1, 2 in the morning live. There was a Greyhound bus that departed Canada someplace, I think in the middle. And the bus stopped at a certain point, and there were calls for the Mounties to come out. They had an issue, no problem. There was a guy that went nuts on the bus. And basically what happened was he came on the bus, and when he came on, people said that there was a bad feeling about him when he came on, and he smelled like rotten flesh. Okay.
Wow.
He smelled god awful. He had dark eyes. He had black eyes. He went to the back of the bus and he sat in a double seat. One guy was already there. He was sleeping. This guy sat next to him. He was quiet. He's kind of twitchy, they said. And then at one moment, the guy took out whatever and took his whole entire head off.
Is that the guy that started eating them or something?
And he was eating them.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing the video. They didn't cut away. It was so late at night. It took place, and you heard the radio calls, and the bus was eventually surrounded by Mounties, and the guys at the front holding the head in, like, that little stairwell there. Everybody's scared out of their minds. And he starts to, consume.
Yeah.
And like 2 years ago, I think it was, they were going to release him. He was up for parole. And I'm like,
yeah, I remember something. I remember vaguely about that, but don't they say he's like a real life zombie or something?
Well, some people that were on there, because there are indigenous or natives in the area he was coming from. And he does have a look that's very similar if you want to go to the Inuit.
It's in Alaska.
Yeah, in Canada.
Okay.
Inuit and the Inuit. I forgot the other term, but he had that look. And some people that were on like, that guy's a skinwalker, that guy's, or a Wendigo. He's because he just did what he did. And there's something to the legend that when they need to feed, they get very, very aggressive. And apparently he needed to feed. Now, is it true or not, or is he just mentally ill? Both, or what part of mental illness is part of possession?
Right. That's a good point. Possession.
They all play hand in hand. I mean, the devil and his minion or her minion or whatever are prevalent everywhere. And the more negativity you have, or the depression, but you're easier, your aura that everybody has that surrounds you. I always look for auras. Deborah was good at it, good at catching them. Some people really see them really quick.
Right.
Sometimes I see it. Well, that's your tell. If you're not vibrating at a higher frequency, if you're not healthy, or there's something wrong with you, you could be depressed, upset, had a bad day, family fight, something. The glow coming off of you is darker. Think of it as a mood ring, right? So when you put on a mood ring, it goes to black, you need to relax. You need something good to come in, because that's a bad color to come in. And I think blue is the ultimate. Like, you're really doing good. So this is what these spirits see in everybody, right?
Yeah, because you kind of answered something I was going to ask you. It's like, if you're running on a low vibration, you're putting out a higher frequency toward the dark side, are you not? Without even realizing
it's visible. It's like, do you remember back in the day when we had EQs on our stereo systems?
Oh yeah, I love the EQ.
I love the EQs. I had a great EQ, fell off the back of a truck.
Exactly, yeah. Just like the gold that I bought around my neck that went in my swing pool, it turned green. Yeah.
Fell off the back of the truck. But I had an EQ, and originally I had a red EQ. So I had I think I had 20 channels on each side. And then I got one that has like multiple lights on it, so you can, for each like frequency, whatever it is. If you look at an EQ and you have an equator line and you have a top and a bottom, top means louder or positive and bottom is lower. That EQ would be, you want it to go in certain like mountainous, wave signs to enhance the music. When you're not feeling well, that's flipped and reversed and it goes underneath. So yeah, it's visual. You can see it. This is why most people don't understand that when you're into Bigfoot and ghosts and all this stuff, and you're really into it, and you're vibrating a higher frequency, your colors are, you got silvers on you, like a good blue or whatever, coming off your energy, whether you see it or not. They see it, they know it, and it affects where they are in their realm, and they know you're coming, like within a couple of miles from when you get to the destination. Now, when you interact with these Bigfoot and they finally, you keep going back to the same hike, the same spot, the same place, and like you're good or you're chill, they're like, oh, this one's not bad. We'll let them do some stuff. We'll throw rocks when we're bored with them, but they know you, and they kind of, there's something that goes in. Maybe they mark you. Maybe they write down your frequency, because each one of us, even though we're human, has a specific frequency. It's like your cell phone, right? Your cell phone has an electronic identification number, EIN. And since numbers are infinite, each one of us has a number. So they know what your frequency and what your number is. It's like your old phone number, like, oh, that's, that's Rob's, that's Rob's boy,
Yeah. Well, that's so interesting you say that, because several years ago when I first got started in this, I was told by a person that after I had my Bigfoot encounter, not knowing that I've had prior experiences throughout my life, right? But said, hey, you're marked by Bigfoot. He says you have this impression. So no matter where you travel in the United States, the world, and you go out in the forest, you have an impression that's kind of inherent with you now when it comes to these cryptids. Now, I, of course, did not. I was polite.
Yeah.
I said, okay, I smiled. But now, the more and more I talk to folks like yourself, I'm kind of thinking that the guy wasn't full of bunk.
No, he's pretty spot on. There's something, I'm trying to give something that people may be able to relate to, that they've seen or whatever, to understand the concept. So in the Star Trek series, the New Generation or Next Generation, whatever the heck it was, there was we are the cube, we are the many. And it was this big cube, and it was one consciousness. So let's do it this way. If I am in California doing something, please get me out of there. But if I went to California to do something and I had an experience, that experience goes back to the collective, the whole. Okay. And then other connections to me that go in there know what I've done. And it's very weird. This is why when you hear of dogman stories too, dogmen just kind of know who you are. And when one is having an encounter with you and you shoot at it, others know about it. And for some reason, they start working together. So there has to be some kind of, concentration of information, or Akash record, or source, or whatever, or consciousness that they're all tapping into. I just saw something from Candy, and she mentioned something. Is there any Bigfoot in Northern Ontario? Yes, there are a lot of them, actually. They're in the news every once in a while, but I don't think the Canadians are talking too much about them. I just wanted to answer that quickly. But the same thing, I've seen this with how dogmen react in different stories and encounters, not only with myself. Like my encounter of me peeing in front of it and not being afraid of it, probably registered and went back, and like they had the visualization, and they're like, "That's the guy." yeah, he's crazy, whatever. But I also have plenty of interactions with Bigfoot. My closest is literally within, I kid you not, 4 or 5 inches from its face,
Yeah.
as a little kid. So it knows, I didn't do anything. It probably knew I was scared because even dogs know what fear. There's a scent to fear. We give off some kind of chemical scent, believe it or not. And they know you're stressing out, and they can. It's weird. So I think with my interactions, we've always been very kind, even when we have offensive weapons or defensive weapons like machetes, or where I am in the great state, free state of Florida, we do go with firearms. We always let them know. We say it. We say it. Yes, we have weapons. They're for our defense against other predators that want to make us a meal. It's not for you, and I always say, if that comes to that point, I am more than welcome. I'm gifting this to you and your family to enjoy, and thank you. Understand that, and I think they get it. They really get it. But when you're negative, or when you're upset or afraid, like there used to be one of my friend's mothers, lovely lady. She passed away, but my brother, at one point had a Rottweiler who was pretty big. He's 150 pounds, and I'd walk him, and she was pretty good with dogs, but because it's a Rottweiler, it has a bad rap, right? But they're really sweet as sugar, and she would walk slowly and very purposely, and tighten up, and the dog sensed it, like, what's wrong with you? He just knew. So he would, like, it's unusual. Why are you acting this way? It's not natural, free flowing. There was also a woman. I had a bull terrier, like Spuds McKenzie, or the Target dog, whatever you want to call it, or if you're from Canada, Blue. And there was a woman that had major mental illness, like she was slow, and she had issues. Wonderful, wonderful person, very sweet and kind, working for the parks department. My dog, there's something about that system that is, I'm going to say it's defective. The dog sense, and it was like, something's not right about this one. And I kind of purposely kept him away because there's something that he didn't jive with. And so this is the same thing. You go into, I've said this, I remember, numerous times, and I tell people when we go on our adventures for the mysterious beasts or to the ghosts, if I'm having a bad day, if I'm not feeling well, I had a fight with anybody in my house, or the other half, or I'm bummed out and depressed, you all get these highs and lows. I'm not going in that house because I'm ripe. They're going to see it in my aura, and they're going to go, "Ooh, I want that one."
You're a target.
And that happens too often. Matter of fact, Mr. Wonderful that I go out with, used to go out with, I go out when we go up up north too. We'll go on investigations. Al he's got a strong spirit to him, but he does some things, in my opinion, that he's not really trained to do, and he doesn't have the fortification around him, the protection, or he's a little bit, certain times he gets a little punchy, he gets lackadaisical, boom, and he's gotten jumped a couple of times. And when I say jumped, the spirit knows, oh, there's a crack in his armor, I'm going in. And he starts acting weird. I'm like, what's wrong with you? And I'm looking at him and I'm monitoring, and I know something's wrong. So I got to pull him out of that situation. We do some prayers, we do some holy water, we do whatever we have to do. And he's more than capable of kind of handling himself. You get somebody who goes on an investigation that doesn't, trepidation or whatever, that's a recipe for disaster.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I could not agree with you more on that. When you go to any type of paranormal locations, events, whatever you're doing, both physically and mentally, be right.
Yeah, this is why when when we utilize, Cindy Bailey Dove is the psychic. She's out. She's actually an expert on drones and UFOs. She's been part of the STAR team. So if you want to interview her, let me know. I'll put her on. She'd be more than happy to come on.
Of course.
But we always, if we're taking people out, and Al always invites the entire planet, and this is the problem when you're the boss, right? So you go out, Rob, Krista, you guys go out. When you invite third parties in or someone, someone wanted to come with us. Well, we've got to make sure you're going to be okay,
Right.
because there's a liability issue here. Not only just, legal stuff. The liability issue is we may be going into situations that are really dangerous. And we'll tag up. Like Al and I always got each other's back. That's not a problem. But if we have somebody else in there and we've got to watch a third party who's not really cool with something or is not prepared for it, that could be a really dangerous situation. So we usually ask our psychic, they read everybody, and she goes, no, don't let them go, and she'll tell you exactly what it is. And then so we'll say, you can't come this time, but we'll work on you next time. And we'll bring them in on a lower end type of thing. I highly recommend that. If you can get a psychic or someone to read and say, do you think everybody here is capable to do this, where we're going, they'll say yes or no, and just take their word for it.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I might have to get with you sometimes down the road. I don't want to get into this, but I've spoke with 3 different psychics in like the last 6 months, I'll say, all about my encounter. And I will say that 2 of the 3 were recommended by people. And it was free. They didn't charge me. I went through a couple of sessions. Well, actually, one
free stuff.
And I gotta tell you, all 3 came back with 3 different deductions on. We were talking about my Bigfoot, right? Encounter.
Right.
And I gotta tell you, man, it confused me more than anything, because all 3 were different. All 3 are out of this world. Although I will say, of the 3, there was one that I kind of resonated a little bit with. But and that's my thing. And I'm not here to slam psychic mediums, because I think there's good ones. I think they exist to do a fantastic job. It's just trying to find the one that you can trust that don't want to make $1. Again, mine was free, but for me, it was perplexing. Now I got all these 3 different. I wrote them down. I got all 3 of these analyses, and I'm like, my mind exploded. Okay, I'm going back to the drawing board with this. Right. I'm gonna go with my own personal theory. What's your thoughts on that, really quick? Because I do have another question about the planet.
No, I'm gonna talk about this because it's actually very important. I am a bastard when it comes to psychics. Okay. No, I'm not kidding. I don't like people taking advantage of people.
Right.
Okay. So I will test them, and I'm born and raised in New York City. I know how to read people. I know body language. I know little, the tells like in poker and all that stuff. So I sit there and I go in and I sit, and they start doing the cards. I'm like, okay, right there, cut it. And the good ones, they will tell you things there's no way they should know.
Yes.
And it throws you. And it's like, actually, I'm happy about it, but it's also like, okay, they know what they're doing. The bad ones, and there's so many more of those, aren't even close. And they tell you certain things. You're like, okay. There are also people that were really good at one point on that psychic side, but something happened and they lost their gift.
Yep. Ones that are fishing, that fish and ask for too much information.
Yeah. I'm getting a mailed a D, and they'll oh my God, that could be David,
or Dad.
Or Dad.
Right.
They like nice fragrances. Yeah. I'm smelling roses.
I'm smelling something. I'm smelling roses. Now, what's very interesting is, and I knew some people that were really, really at one point were good, and they're not good. And to this day, and I'm not out there to like say you suck, you shouldn't be doing this.
I got
I
you.
will pull away, and I will advise people privately. You may want to seek someone else for answers. Okay.
My two thoughts on that are, I feel like when you have a good psychic medium, if they're doing it for the right reasons, they're going to keep up and they're going to stay good and they're going to get better. If you start doing it for greed or, the wrong reasons, that's not okay.
No, you take, there's a karma factor in what you do in life, whether you believe it or not. And if you start taking advantage of people, and there are a lot of them that do, I mean, apparently down here in Florida, I think you have to be licensed to be a psychic, which means you have to have some kind of insurance because they don't want people taking advantage of you. There's plenty of people that you're cursed and I can get that off for $25,000. And people believe it. Now, I've been told by numerous people in the past that I should do readings, and I resisted it because I don't want to come off as a Miss Cleo, like call me now, I don't. But I know that, and I know this I always ask whenever I read somebody to give me feedback. When X, Y, and Z happens, I tell you X, Y, and Z is going to happen. Excuse me. Let me know. And they tell me like, yep, you were spot on. So I'm saying I have a 98% accuracy rate when I do it. I used to call it remote viewing. I just remote view. No, I'm doing a lot more than that.
Right.
It's really weird how it works. And the more you exercise, everybody has this ability, by the way, everybody in that chat right there, you both have the ability to do this. It's a muscle. You have to exercise it the proper way. And meditation's part of it.
Yeah.
But I will tell you that there's a couple that do their own show. They're out of Michigan. Their co-hosts, husband and wife. I saw her father passed away, and my condolences to him. But it's weird. I told her this. I said I saw it. I saw what would happen. I saw who brought him in, and I saw her from behind, and he gave a certain symbol, I'll be back. I will leave you signs. They do leave signs when people depart. But what's interesting for me is when I see people, I see them as if I would have seen them in modern times. I see them like I will see, this person, like I'm looking for my dad or I'm looking for whoever I'm seeing as if the day they died is what they look like in the afterlife. The funny thing is other people see them as what the people, when you pass on, you can change your appearance to your life. That's what other people see them as, whatever they want to generate out. And I just continue to see them as is. So when I describe somebody, I'm describing to you that person as you knew them at the latest, most part of their light before they passed. Yep. But I know other people that describe them as young. I see them as a child. I see them as everybody has their little niches in it. There's some people that are really good. They can see the whole thing. They can see the past, present, and future.
Yeah.
And that gets back to, I'm just going to circle back.
Yeah.
When you get from this world and you go to either up or down, we'll say heaven or hell, there is the Akash record. Everybody that's passed on knows everything. So they could see whatever they want. They can go back in time, forward, and whatever. They can see the future. It's all taking place at once. Past, present, future takes place right at the same time because they know everything. Okay? That's what I'm saying about a collective. Past, present, and future, every inch of that moment. And these creatures like Bigfoot and some of the ghosts actually and cryptids, they know what's going to happen. They know all about you. That's why when they tell you don't play with a Ouija board, because that spirit on the other side that's trying to get into your room, that they want you to unlock that gate, they know everything about you and mom and dad and what dad was doing to mom and that's why they can answer all your questions. But do you really know you're talking to Grandpa Fred? No.
Right.
So it gets really, really bizarre that way. But with your psychics, you know what? I mean, I can give you impressions and I do a lot of free stuff. I do charge, I take my time, but I'm one of these guys that I'll charge you, but I'm always like, oh, by the way, like a week later, 3 months, like, I'm always giving you more information because it just comes.
It comes and you freely, and it comes to you. It just comes naturally, and you expound on.
I had a buddy I did a reading for. I told him you have to write and you have to do this, and this is where his path is. And he's love him to death. He's a brother of mine, and not a biological, but I know he's procrastinating. He's tired. He comes back from the day, whatever. So I kept telling him that if I tell you A, B, and C are going to happen, that will happen if you follow the path of your life. So you got to get up, you got to go to work, you got to do something, and then along the line you'll hit those marks. If you stop doing it and you sit back and like, I'll just wait for it to happen, it won't happen. Your whole timeline shifts. Now I got to give you a new reading. So one time I knew I got, I just said, let me see what's going on. I knew he was being lazy, couldn't figure out a way to do the book. So I just sent him a text. Let me help you with this because I know you're struggling. Boom, boom, boom. I gave him, like, he goes, how the hell did you know that? I was thinking about that today. I'm like, yeah, it's just what it is. I guess the energy is coming to me because we made the connection on a different level. So, it's weird.
In this last 7-minute segment, I've got like 8 different questions on my mind now about the past, the present, the future, this, that, and the other. I know Krista does too.
Let's go.
And before I get into that, I do want to say this.
Yep.
I'm going to qualify this for people because, Brian, when you do a podcast and you say certain things, you always have to qualify things. I love and respect psychics and mediums. I'm not suggesting that they are, vaudevilles,
Right.
trying to collect your dollar. They're out there, and I respect people that are legitimate. And I must tell you, and I did not ask for this. The 3 last psychics I talked to, well, they're blah blah blah, whatever. I was doing my show about a year ago, and I had a person on that it doesn't matter if they knew about my Bigfoot encounter because my Bigfoot encounter has been made public since 2018. So anytime Dick or Harry that wants to, come up with something, some minutia, they could because they know the story.
Yeah.
So there's one part of my story. I tell the story the same all the time. There's one part of the story that I never have ever uttered a word on ever because I thought it was insignificant. It really played no role in the story, the encounter. So I'm on a show. I'm on a live show talking to the guests, and we're going over my encounter. And this person first told me that they were having mind speak with my alleged Bigfoot entity, what I came across. In fact, it had a name. I'm like, okay, this is really going to be a fun show. And then I said, well, how is this entity that I saw, this Bigfoot? The name was Denali. Denali, of course, we all know from the Denali General Motors vehicle, Alaska. Denali's the name. I'm like, okay, here we go. A made-up name. Very cool name, but a made-up name, I'm thinking. He said, yeah, well, when it approached you and showed yourself and Cindy, and then she goes on and says, I meant Cindy no harm, did not mean to scare you. I was not responsible for Cindy's death. Goes on all these things, Brian, as we've all heard ad nauseum from me. But then the thing, and I'm thinking, man, I'm going to end this show because I'm thinking this person's kind of just really pulling my leg until it got to the point where this person told me, tell Rob that I came from a portal from on the side of the red barn. I almost lost and fell out of my chair during my own show because this entity, there was a red barn that I never mentioned not once in my life since 2018. Krista don't know. Tex don't know. Brian, you don't know. my best friends, my family don't know. I never mentioned a red barn. There was a red barn not 50 feet from where this thing came from and appeared. Never once mentioned it. This person on my show who is claiming to be speaking with my alleged Bigfoot laid it out perfectly. But when they said, tell him it came from the red barn, then I knew this
They're telling the
person
truth.
was not full of crap.
Yep. So I'll tell you this, and it's a suggestion. I don't know if you both do this on investigation. I do this. I always leave some information out. That's pertinent to the either the case or the situation, because if you really are good at what you're doing, and you're really psychic, and you're doing it like that, the person that read you or was speaking to your Bigfoot, Denali, that's how you know if someone's telling the truth. The police use this when they're dealing with serial killers. They leave certain things out because they know they're going to get copycats. But and so they'll get the copycat letters and all that other stuff. But when the real one contacts them, there's something in there that they know. I'm talking to this is the real deal right now. So my whole point is, you had a great, you may be not aware of that, but the fact that you kept that out was the validation that this person is talking to somebody, or your Bigfoot.
No,
And
they were talking to somebody, Brian, and I left it out, not on purpose, which, by the way, is a great idea. Now that you've mentioned it, I'm going to use that in my forward thinking. But I thought it was insignificant. The red barn was there. It was there as plain as day. I can see it in my mind right now. But when I tell the story, Brian, there's so much detail in the story that the red barn is something that I left on the cutting room floor.
right, because
Insignificant.
it didn't play in what you were doing with it. Does not play a role on whether the
Yeah.
story is good or bad.
Yeah,
It has
yeah,
no
yeah,
bearing.
yeah. And by the way, there was a red barn on, at the tree line. Well,
And
who cares?
that worked out really well. So one of the things I do, and I can't shut it off. It always happens, but your business, I really don't care about your business.
Yeah.
When you meet with people and they tell you a story, like Rob's telling the story of his encounter, when something is true and valid and real, I actually see it take place inside my mind's eye.
Wow.
Like I'm experienced, I see all the details, everything. When you're not telling the truth and you're making stuff up, I see black. So I know, and I'm like, oh, cool. That's a great story. Now, here's what I do. In that case, I know what the barn looks like. When you mentioned it and you're talking about it, I can see it in my mind's eye. I can see the slats and the weathering, and it's really weird. I don't see the full surrounding of it, but okay. I know what you're talking about, but I don't call people out. That never happened, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Because when you're hanging out with your friends and someone that may not have a great situation in their life and they just want that moment to kind of be a buddy and whatever. I know when people are BSing, but it's cool. Like, oh wow, that's great. I'm not gonna do anything negative to them or call them out on it.
Yeah.
It's like you're being one of the guys. It's called writer's embellishment, and some people write really well and they can do it. Some of the tales also that people tell that are really, like, wow, oh my God, this happened, and then they're exaggerated. And I'm sitting there, and and I know, like, oh, okay, but I'm not going to ruin, I'm not that person.
No, I got you.
But what's good about that is it does happen. Like when I meet people and they're trying to, like, I need help. I've been in the hospital, and what, they're trying to get one over on you.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, well, I'm sorry. You can go down to the pantry over there and you can get some, I know when they're up to no good. And my other half, she just hates it. And I tell her, no, we got to go now. And she's like, what? We just got, like, we need to go right now. And I tell her, I'm like, don't let me tell you again. And when we go, what happens is right at like within a minute, 2 minutes from us leaving a spot, something takes place there. Because I see it, it's going to happen. I just feel the energy building up. But that's great. You should do that. leave certain things out. So when people do see it, like this person see the mind speak, which
Yeah.
I've never had so far. I've been dying to get one of those. I just know when they're there. I just kind of can feel the energy. But I want to talk to, want to try it, it's
Oh,
great.
yeah, absolutely.
I try to do that with my daughters and they don't want to play anymore. I'll say something to them. I do that actually. It's not mind speak. When I go in to help somebody remote viewing, I do this to Al all the time. Like he had an issue, like, night terrors with one of, his family members that was going, not him, but someone else. I said, let me go take a look. And I go up to him, I see him sleeping, and I go, blue monkey, blue monkey, blue monkey. And, I'll tell him some strange thing, and they'll be like, I don't know, I got this thing about a monkey, like, but I do that purposely because I want to make sure, that's a validation for me too. Like, okay, so I really was doing what I was doing. I'm not mentally, insane, but it's hysterical when you do things like that. Right.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Yeah. I got caught remote viewing. Our psychic Cindy was not feeling well. She was having, she just wasn't feeling good. And I'm like, well, if you want, I can go in. And when I go in, I try to heal people. I really do. And I have this whole method of filling your getting all the bad out and filling you with white golden light. And it just works. I'm not being a voyeur. I'm just going in there to try to help. So she said, yeah, I don't mind, and I said, okay. So what I do is I focus on her and I say to myself, I want to be wherever she is, please get me there. And I've never been to her house. I never seen her daughter's house. I didn't see any of this stuff. And I described the first time, she's like, you just described my entire house. I said, yep. Yeah. So I go there in the attention to see what's wrong with my, my friend. She's like a sister. And I step into the room and I'm literally stepping into the room of her granddaughter. I'm like, the way I enter, I'm entering through the wall of her granddaughter. Granddaughter sits up and is looking at me like, who the hell are you? He sees me. And rightfully so, because when you're younger, you're open to all this stuff, before they brainwash you with 2 + 2 is, whatever. So, and she also has abilities. And I'm like, hi, I'm Bryan. I'm here to fix your grandma. I'm here to help grandma. Can you tell her Bryan was here, please? And she's looking at me like, kind of like, okay, like Bryan was here. Right. So I go in and I actually scanned her to see where it is, what the problem is. I fill her with light. I try to heal it so the whole body gets healed, and I'm gone. And the next thing, this was her daughter's house. The next day she goes, you were here, weren't you? I said, yeah. I said, did you feel it? He goes, well, I do feel better. I felt different. But my granddaughter told me to tell her. He said, Bryan told me to tell you that he was here to help you. So yeah. But
wow.
It's weird when you get caught doing it. Mm-hmm. You can't get caught remote viewing.
Yeah.
You're not good.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I got so many questions. Chris, why don't you throw out a couple questions for Bryan before I really take over. Plus, I'll be back in like 30 seconds.
Okay. Sure. I actually had something happen to me. I guess it was Sunday night, and it's not nothing to do with remote viewing. However, right. My house, I do go to like ghost hunts and stuff, but I carry my protection and I tell everything to stay where it is. And knock on wood, I've really never had an issue. And when I did have some, I'll just do a quick cleansing and tell it to leave, and I have no issues. Right.
Right.
So this was Sunday night, and it's been over a week since I've been at a haunted location. And that location, nothing ever follows you. I've been there a gazillion times. Nothing ever follows. Mm-hmm. However, Sunday night, and it was probably about 11 o'clock at night, I heard it sounded like shelves just collapsing in my house. Like my kid got up, like I walked all over looking. There wasn't nothing, not a dang thing. So, part of me is like, well, maybe that could be a loved one or something reaching out, then maybe, it's, I don't know. But I did the next morning. I walked around my house. I didn't sage or anything, but I was like, if you're here, get the hell out of here. You don't belong here. It's not your house, my house. Goodbye. And I haven't had any issues since. So I don't know. What do you think? Do you think it could be loved ones? Do you think it could be, like on the ghost paranormal side of things, or
We're all asleep at the time when this happened, right?
we were dead asleep? Yeah, and me and my daughter got up because she heard it too.
So my personal opinion and my whatever intuitiveness, because I'm
Mm-hmm.
you're not gonna what was happening, you was not in our timeline, your timeline.
Mm-hmm.
And when you all were sleeping and you were REMing at or REM sleep and you're
Mhm.
vibrating at a higher frequency, that's when all this distractions go away and you connect to source and you get downloads, some of which you'll remember as vivid dreams or experiences, and some of it is just vague. Sometimes they want you to remember, they don't want you to
Mhm.
remember, but you also can skirt a variety of different timelines and pathways. And
Yeah.
what you heard took place not in your home as you know it here, but it took place on the path line to right next to you.
Oh wow.
And it was so connected that you kind of like were straddling two areas, 2
Mhm.
timelines coming back in, and something did and there's a whole it was like a crash, like something broke and fell to the floor. And
Wow.
it's really weird because that happens numerous times. A lot of times it happens at night
Mm-hmm.
because of where we are sleeping wise.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's also the quietest, so you're going to hear anything,
Mm-hmm.
like a pin drop. But you also have abilities. Your kids have abilities.
Mm-hmm.
The other half, not so much. Go to sleep. Whoever, and it's when it's really weird, but when you get together, the vibration is stronger. And you're vibrating at a different frequency. I've seen that before. I've seen I've had I literally had the same thing happen last night.
Wow.
I'm so I don't sleep very well because everybody's like, well, you have an issue. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'll go to sleep and then I like I said before, there are dreams
Mm-hmm.
where I think Michigan Rob was there. I think we were in a boat. I'm not sure. And we were kind of flying on the water, and Krista and Brandy were there, and they were telling Tex to put on, just like, some kind of baby lotion just to not get burnt. It's very vague, right? Okay.
Right.
Then there are experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And the more you get into this stuff, and the more you vibrating at a high frequency and you raise your vibration, they let you know things and you have an experience. So you'll go, oh my God, I drove to Brandy's house down the road. I picked her up. She was wearing blah, 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 and you described exactly. We drove 6 miles to town. Tex was there. We picked him up and we went and we did X, Y, and Z. And you're going into every detail as if you went out to the mall that day. Okay. That's dreams and
Mm-hmm.
experiences. So what happens to me is I go and I start getting, and they're downloads when they want you to remember something because you have a purpose. I think all of us, even though you had what you had, Rob, as not as extensive as whatever, don't take it the wrong way. Some other people are having a lot more experiences. We're all light workers. We're doing good. And there's a war going on between the light and the dark. And when they feel you're ready to handle it, you'll start remembering things. And they'll let you know these stuff. But there are going to be times when I've been hearing this for the last 2 weeks. It drives me nuts. Everybody's asleep, and I hear a freaking what sounds like a transistor radio in the background, like my grandma, and I hear it, and it's like changing, and there's conversation. Then it looks like, and I can't pull that in. So I'm like straddling it because it's like 1 a.m. Everybody's dead asleep, and I'm straddling. I'm using my abilities, but I may be on the verge of being in like this timeline and hearing parts of the other timeline. So, but last night I woke up and sometimes when I have all these intense experiences, and I wake up and I sit there like, I got to write this down, and I start either writing it down. Sometimes I put a record at the edge of my bed, and I'll go in and I'll start speaking exactly what took place and whatever. I sat on my bed and I heard someone say, "I need water."
Wow.
As clear as day. Here's the weird part. I was dead asleep. Kids are dead asleep. No one's up. We don't have a dog. We don't have a cat. We don't have anything as of yet. It was as if it was right next to me.
Wow.
So I went outside and I went to, the master's on the first floor. So I went and I grabbed a cup of water. I drank it. I said, I filled it up again. I said, "Here, go help yourself."
Mm-hmm.
Back to bed. So this is what happened to you. You were lying there. You were in a moment, and then you heard something took place at a different time, like the same exact people, but something fell and came crashing down for whatever reason. I can't see other than that.
Mm-hmm.
Weird, because you're used to the weird, but it's like, what the hell was that?
Yeah, because things like that don't happen in my house. I don't allow anything like that. And honestly, I thought it was the cat. I thought the cat knocked something over. I expected to see some sort of a big mess, and there was nothing.
There was nothing because it wasn't there. It was you were this close. Like you were any closer, you'd need a lubricant to get to the other timeline.
Right.
And something there happened, and maybe the cat there did knock it over. Cats are really weird. If you have cats, they have their own paranormal activity. They do things that, dogs are like, "Dude, go to sleep already, would you?" And they'll go to sleep. Cats are always getting themselves into trouble. They're nocturnal. But I've had another experience. Sorry, it's a bathroom one in my apartment up in New York City, which I'm going to, depending on the outcome this week. I'm going to in a couple of days. And I'm just sitting there and I see a flash, blue-white flash to the right of me. I get it. I look down and about the same level as where our bathtub is, this portal opens up and this little somebody peeks his head out, looks at me, and it's like an oh shit moment. And he goes back in. And I'm like, it literally was, I swear to God, maybe it's 1.5 seconds. And I'm just like, all right, did that just happen? Am I having a flashback to my days in high school when we did a lot of whatever? It was unreal. Yeah.
Wow.
So,
I mean, you just said, okay, in the last 12 minutes now, Brian.
I'll shut up.
I got no. You're great. No, you're fantastic. I've got now 15.
Keep them coming.
Different thoughts and questions, and I was going to ask you. I know that I'm a sensitive. At least Krista thinks I am. I know that she is, and Brian, I certainly know you are. I'll just say that because I know.
Yeah.
When we're talking about all these things, when we talk about the dreams, I get many dreams that are premonitions, and some are from the past. And then I think about these cryptid encounters that people had, UFO alien encounters. I believe that we live in our universe. Our planet Earth is in our universe. Now, Brian, I think you would concur that there's a multiverse, which there are a plethora, as Dave Scott would say, of universes out there. It's infinity, right? It's not finite. It is endless. All these galaxies. And we're talking about time travel and the past, the present, dreams, false memories, and these creatures of the earth. Do you think that these universes, these multiverses, do you think that there's a point somewhere in space where they collide and where that's producing these experiences that we have? And it's also a reflection on some of our memories and some of our dreams from past, present, or future. I don't know if that question makes any sense. I'm trying to combine 15 questions in one.
It does. Do I think there's a centermost point where everything comes from, or everything has to go back to? No. I do think, like, there are multiple versions of this exact moment on multiple different timelines and in different dimensions, and the dimensional moments. And then you have beings that are dimensional beings, you have light beings, you have sound beings. It's the possibility is endless in the multiverse. Okay. So if we're having this conversation right here, right now.
Thanks, Bristol.
Sorry, Bristol just had a great comment there.
Yeah,
I'd like to be spared though. Yeah, and anal probe is brought up a lot of times by many people that I know when you tell them about the UFO stuff. But so what happens is they tell you right now, like, oh, the veil's thinner. The veil is thinner. And then depending on what's going on in each little universe, when they mess around with things that they really shouldn't be playing with because they don't know, like colliders, and what they do is they poke holes in them. And then
Brian, really quickly, were you reading my mind? Because everything you're saying I've written here on this piece of paper, and look, it's even highlighted. Brian, I've even told, are you reading my mind, buddy?
No, I'm not.
See the yellow highlights.
I see the yellow highlights. I see them, but that's how it works.
That's why I love this guy.
That's how it works. So what happens is, and I did something before. I'm just gonna, if this whole piece right here, this headphones or whatever, this whole thing was connected. This is a universe. This is our timeline. And when they mess around with CERN, they pop a hole in it, right? They're not just popping hole. It's so powerful, it busts up ours and the one next to us and the one on the opposite side, depending on where the force is. And now, so we're like this, but the timeline to the right of us is like this, right? So what happens is when we come back and that heals and starts self-healing, we're not taking our timeline and restoring it perfectly, but we're taking like the start of our timeline from the beginning till 1980 is here, and then we're taking the end of their timeline from 1980 and one day on up right here. And this is why people that are born anywhere from here and live into here remember that the fruit of the loom had a cornucopia on it. Whereas in this timeline, anybody born from here to here, no, it didn't. It never had a cornucopia. That's how the Mandela effect worked. Okay. And this is what happens in the universe. Now, once you get the cracks in, you'll never join something back together again perfectly, right? Have you ever broken a vase of your mother's when they were out and you're like, I'll just glue it. And then they use it and there are holes there, right? You'll never get it back to a whole piece. There'll always be some cracks in there. Well, when they make cracks in our timeline, in our dimension, in other dimensions, guess what? There are interdimensional creatures that go, what the hell is that? And they go over to it and they crawl out of it. And then they're now flying and landing on top of buildings in Chicago or on top of bridges in Point Pleasant. And now you have interdimensional flying humanoids, Mothmen, or black-eyed kids, and so on and so forth. And now some of that information goes into both ends of the spectrum. So they know now, oh, there's another one. We're going to go through that hole again. And then someone over here, the people that wanted to open the hole for whatever reason to get, are now going on the other side. That's how it all gets interwound. People don't look at it that way. The Mandela effect only happened in the late 90s after Firm Lab up in Illinois near Chicago was turned on. And as soon as they turned it on, they shut the hell off because something happened. And right after they shut it off, Verona, I think her name is Brom or Brom. She's the one that said, I thought Mandela was dead. No, he isn't. Well, he was dead in my timeline when growing up to a certain point. But from that point forward, he wasn't, because we now have a different timelines ending ours.
I swear he died twice.
Yeah. And this is why we have people, you know, we have a good and evil fight in this world right now for the last 10 years. And when they want something, things start to change and they go this way. And then the next thing you know, someone, you know, the good side recovers and pushes it back. And then CEOs of all these companies start departing, like, what's going on? And then the next thing, something else happens. That's what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah. Amy asked, why do they want to punch holes in the veils? Why would that be?
I personally think they're trying to create or bring in something that has been sent away on purpose, or locked away or imprisoned purposely, but they want it back because they may be, I don't want to get too political, but they may be worshiping it.
Gotcha.
And what I'm talking about is when the angels in heaven had their battle, Lucifer and the fallen came down, and then they had the watchers, you know, had their way with the women of man, and you created an Nephilim. Well, each one of those, there was a penalty for it, and some were locked in an abyss, different timeline, a portal, chained away. Right. That's why they're doing it.
Wow. Gotcha.
Again, good and evil.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, yeah. Wow. I'm not a big fan of CERN.
No.
Well, no, I mean, I had that written down.
There's any more questions you have about them?
End the show now. No. Oh, I do want to say, hey, listen, good night. But I do want to say this. This is pretty odd. You know, Brian, when I was going to have the on tonight, November 5th, I didn't even realize back when we set the show up a month ago that it was to be election night. And I know a lot of people, you know, I only have like 55 or 60 in chat. We normally have 75 to 100. Right. But I'm not complaining, though, because I just looked it up. Thank you to the people watching. Hey, Chris, so we got 301 people watching. So they're toggling between the TV and this show. So thank you to everybody for spending your time.
Y'all hit that thumbs up.
So all you 300 people, you know, shout out the like. Shout out the likes. Bryan Bowden's one of my greatest friends. I've met you 5-6 years ago, not in person, of course. One day we will. And
I'm planning on it. I know.
And you know, we'll get together. And here's the thing, talking about time travel. I love time travel. I'm really starting to get big into this and researching it, reading a bunch of different things. But let me ask you this, because I've talked to several people and they have varied opinions. Most people believe that you can either travel forward in time, which would be the future. But many people, though, Brian, say you can't go back in time. Now, when I ask for an explanation, it's really not. I'm not satisfied with a lot of the answers. I get it. You can't go back and eliminate Hitler because it's gonna change the timeline.
Can you explain what their explanations why that you can't go back in time?
If we could go back in time, we could alter the history of mankind, and we'd always be going through a different time shift. Some people might go and kill Hitler. Some people might prevent JFK's assassination. So if all these people that could go back in time could do that, it would alter the shift in reality, and which would destroy the earth. It would destroy the earth in essence. Therefore, they don't believe in that. Part of that I kind of understand. But what's your take on it? So what's your take on it?
I don't believe that. I believe you can. You can go backwards and forwards in time, and it happens. We have extraterrestrials that have come here and said that they're time travelers. We're XYZ years ahead of you. We're here to warn you. We have people, and you could bring it up if you want. You go to Lincoln's Gettysburg Address, and you'll see someone in there in that picture that clearly stands out. he's in the crowd and he's wearing more modern clothing. We've seen this before with that old silent films of the people walking out and she's holding a cell phone. There's numerous different events. I'll let you in another one.
Okay.
George Washington had a visitor in his tent, and he attributed it to being a ghost, which it very well could be, or could it be an angel, or could it be a time traveler that knows what's going to happen if George continues down a path, and he comes in and he interferes to create the United States of America. So I believe you can do it, and I also believe sometimes that when you force a certain outcome, right? You know, like someone goes back and goes back in time and kills Hitler, then there are other timelines that have this on there and it's weighted and it kind of gets sucked into that timeline area. So our timeline does change for them, but we continue to go on. It's whatever the weight is, it'll fall off and like a magnet be attracted to it. There's a coin that's out, and I forgot where it's from, but it clearly looks like a United States coin, and it's like really close. I don't know if it was like 2020 something or 2030. Got the number, the date, the year. It's like around here, and it's a Nazi coin, but with some U.S. stuff on it, and it's a Nazi like the Nazis won. Wow. How do you explain that?
Right?
Yeah.
That's some crazy stuff. I'm really interested in this stuff. I just can't explain it.
It's tough, Chris. I mean, I can't wrap my hands around. I do believe that if there's time travel, I think it occurs. I am an advocate, past and future.
I think you can do whatever you want to do, but you do have to be very aware that if X happens, then Y, Z, P, Q can happen. Now there's something called it's called Project Looking Glass. And what it is 3 components, and it from 3 different crafts that when put together create a bridge in time, but a computerized bridge where you can hook it to a computer and you can test outcomes. If Rob stayed home tonight, what would happen? Blah, blah, blah. If Rob came in 5 minutes late, what would happen? Blah, blah, blah. And it will show you every outcome. So like you can do modeling. And actually, it was recently, it was talked about when one of the people that is running for president again was president. And I think he was in possession of what all the components, because at one point those components were divided between the U.S., Rome, and another country, so that no one had a fair advantage of what's going on. So if you can see the future, it's going to happen. You can plan for that future. And I will say, and I'm not getting political, but Trump, at one point when he was the 45th president, would say they're going to do X, Y, and Z. And this is what they're going to do. They're going to say PDQ. Every time he did it, he was 100% correct. Is that because he's psychic, or is that because he can see what's going to take place in the future? Look at the ventures of Baron von Trump.
Okay.
And it's a book. You can get it. It's a free book. If you look up the adventures of Baron von Trump, you can read it. It's pretty much about a young boy whose father is the president of the United States, and he's a inventor and uncle. It's Trump's life story. It was written hundreds of years ago.
Wow.
Yeah. So same thing with I don't know if you've heard that too. The Simpsons cartoon, like they
are weird. I think I'm kind of believing Matt Groening is a time traveler. Literally everything that's coming down. But that wouldn't be the first time, because Gene Roddenberry, who is the creator of Star Trek, has stated that he saw UFOs. They came, down. He may have had interactions with them, and they may have used him as a vehicle to get Earth prepared for,
Mhm.
Meeting other races of beings that are out there. But the Simpsons are scary accurate on a lot of stuff. I don't do that kind of math probability. I'd have to call my friend up, but the probability of that happening is so astronomical, and it's not only happening once, it's happening a lot. I mean, super
Well,
duper.
and Andrew here, he makes a good point. And like I said, I'm not trying to get political. However, there's something weird going on. He says not too many people survived 2 assassination attempts either.
Nope.
So there's more going on.
Well, yeah, there's more going on. Either, and in my, it's either someone knows something and it's a time traveler, or someone has God's protection, for a reason. And I'm not,
Yeah.
I mean, if you read the Bible, some of the strange things that are happening in this has happened in the Bible in certain ways.
Yeah.
Moses goes and throws a stick down, and the next thing you know, it's 2 snakes, cobras. Right. I mean, yes, are they stories or tales, like fables, like whatever? Maybe, but it's kind of weird how it, what they say has been proven. There's used to be a show that proves it. Matter of fact, the coolest thing I saw in a long time, this was many years ago, they started using LiDAR and stuff over the Nile, and that whole area. And at the point where Moses brought the Hebrews out of bondage of Egypt, and they crossed the sea parted, and they walked through, and the chariots chased them through, and then God closed the sea. They found chariots in the water there. The same period of time that would have been, just like the story. Is that a true story now?
Right.
Did you have it? Did someone stage that?
Right.
Wow.
I
know that there's time travel and astral projection are different yet the same. And you can give the definition what you think it is, but let me ask you this with the astral projection.
Sure.
When we talk about going back in the past, from what I understand, if I could astral project, which by the way I've tried to do, and I kind of half-ass succeeded. Krista knows. I can tell you later. I can tell you during the show. But if you were able to astral project, could you revolve around the Earth a million times, going back in time, and end up projecting yourself into the past? Or is that more of projecting yourself into the future more than the past?
I think when astral projection is something that's more current future.
Okay.
Current to the future, not present to the past. I think you can get glimpses of the past, but you're not going to project your image there. Astral projection is pretty interesting because a lot of people do it at night. It's easier to do. There's not much because you're usually doing it when you're sleeping, and you'll project yourself. But there are other times where that will happen as a matter of concern. You're so concerned about your daughter or your son or your friend that you will project yourself there so that they can see you, to connect to them. It's the energy behind that, the intention, and that happens. I mean, when I remember I had a friend named Rob, and he wasn't feeling well. I think I told this before, and we used to talk for hours, a lot of political stuff, esoteric stuff. At one point during COVID, he's like, he's a good guy. His family was involved with a 3-lettered agency in New York, and his brother was, and he was very spiritual. And he's, started reading the Bible again, and he believes in God. He was like very encouraging. You put your faith in God, and I'm like, I do. If I don't have God, I got nothing at this point. So he said when I go out to pray, he was telling me honestly, he goes, I was praying sometimes at night, and I felt this like it felt like wind or a vibration, and it went from my head, and then I felt it like kind of come up, around me, and he got nervous. So before he can kind of get fully connected, I broke away because he was nervous, and I'm like, oh my God, Rob, you're at a point where you're trying to connect brain, body, mind, heart, soul.
Okay.
I said, let that happen. Don't be afraid of it. Let it happen. That's how you vibrate at a higher frequency. That's one of the ways they alert you to it. It's unnerving. It's just as unnerving as a roller coaster because you're not used to it. But once you connect there, you're going to be like, oh my God, you're going to see things clear or whatever. And then he would tell me about he had a dream where he was surrounded by flames and he's trying to get out, but no one would listen. And he's trying to, and I'm like, I figured because of the COVID, that he was, he's trapped in his house, and that was a metaphor, and he's worried about the evil and of the world and what have you. So fast forward, he wasn't feeling good. So I said, Rob, if you don't go to a Doc in the Box and get yourself checked out, I'm going to come over to your house. This guy's like 6'7". I'm 6'1". I'm like, I'm going to drag your butt out and I'll take you myself. So his brother did it. He called his brother to come over. His brother took him to his brother, the doctor, his doctor. And the doc goes, no, you got to take him to the hospital. Long story short, he had lesions on his brain, spine, and lung, stage 4. And it was a Wednesday night. And, he was in the hospital and he got weaker. They started really hitting him with radiation. He was 43 years old. And his last words to me was, I'm really scared. I said, I know you are, brother, but put your faith in God. He'll always take care of you. And this was like early on in the night. And then after like an hour, I would sit in my kitchen, in my railroad kitchen in my apartment. Everybody's asleep. And I said, I'm going to go to the restroom. So I get up and I walk forward to go out. And as I'm turning out of the corner of my eye, I see Rob with a smile on his face. Let's enough for me, because when you're an investigator and you hear like you're like, instead of running, you're like, okay, I'm going after that. That's what we do, right? We go after the stuff. I turned to seem like I'm looking for him, and I'm like, okay, you go to the restroom. I knew he died that night. I just don't know how to say it.
Man.
That was a Wednesday night. Friday, I get a phone call that comes on my phone, and we all get this like I'm not answering this. I'm not whatever. This one I said, I need to answer it. It was his sister. She told me that he died Wednesday. Jeez. And I didn't say, oh, I know, and he wanted me to be at his funeral and whatever. So we go to the funeral. I meet some of his immediate friends, not many people there, and his family. His father died, but his brother, mother, and sister were there, and their spouses. And I'm figuring, when I come back up here, because it's a great area to go looking for Bigfoot and UFOs and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
I'm here a lot. I'll stop by the cemetery, say hi to him. We used to talk about this stuff. And that's when his mother goes, thank you very much for coming for his viewing. But tomorrow when we cremate Rob, we will, it'll be a family, private. Mm-hmm. And that's when it went, bing. He was seeing his own death.
Yeah.
Fire around him was his cremation.
Right.
Man, that's
wow.
That's freaky, man.
And
I'm like, okay, got it. Pretty weird.
That is very weird, and
still miss that guy to this day. But I know they're around.
Oh, I know that. Yes, they are around, and I know you do miss them. And with that being said, I got to tell you, I never shared this with you. Now that we're on the subject, since I got you on,
sure.
I know people. Okay.
Just a real quick FYI, and I don't mean to interrupt. My computer just flashed. I'm down to 11%. So if I disappear, I'm not on purpose disappearing. Just let me know.
Krista, I understand. Krista. I know you would never bail, Krista.
No, not intentionally.
Because what I have to say might take a little longer than another 3 minutes.
I want to let you know in case I disappear.
Yeah, you're cool. Very good, Kristen. Thanks for everybody for coming on in. I appreciate it. I also appreciate the super chats and the new members tonight. And thank you, despite being election night. I appreciate you guys all coming on in.
Oh, I wish you could talk about one of the comments that's in there. What I experienced. There's a guy, Andrew and Gnomes Trucking Express, and he said I've had dreams to where I was talking to biblical figures, burning bush, and I've had. That's not a dream. If you remember all the details in it, you were. Just to say it outright. And I had something very similar with a gentleman named Jesus. And I can describe everything about not only him, but the Roman soldiers that were involved to a T. I see it. And
wow.
It's really, really, it was a great experience. I was fighting for him. But I digress. Go ahead, sir.
No, Brian has. Go ahead, Krista. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, when I was 16, I was not a good teenager, and I got into some trouble.
Me too.
And I actually had a dream. You spoke of seeing Jesus. I seen Jesus and my grandmother, who passed away when I was 5, and I don't believe that was a dream. I believe they actually came to me.
They did, and it's in mine. Something happened, and when I relayed what I experienced, it's changed my. I mean, I literally saw his face. Matter of fact, I saw enough detail on him to tell you exactly how he looked and where his breaks, where he broke, the nose was broken, right about there where mine is, and I did something for him to help him. And when I told this story, boy, I got a lot of backlash and that's sacrilegious and stuff. But I'm not going to go into it, what it is, because I don't want to upset people. But it was great. It was great. I actually had another Jesus dream, and I'm not of that faith, mind you, but I am a believer. I say prayers in the morning for Jesus and Mary and some other. But I had another one the other day, about a week and a half ago, where there was a modern day version of him, but he didn't have the hair, but his facial features were very similar. He was a little bit dirty, and he was not doing well. He was not. He had these sores that were throbbing, and I was driving by him in New York City, and he was waiting for like a bus to get. I knew he was going to go, for treatment. And I did something I would not do normally. I stopped, I backed up, and I said, "Can I give you a lift to the place?" And he said yes. And he got in, and he was tight and tough and, gaunt. And we parked. I said, "I'm going to park here. Because we got a spot. We'll walk up there." And he started walking with me. The next thing you know, there was like a person or angel or spirit appeared to my left and said, "You can heal him." And I said, "What?" Because you can heal them. You got to put your mind, and you can start healing them. And I do what I do, and like I told you about filling white golden light. And as I'm walking with him, and I'm about half a block away from him, that Jesus like character stops and turns and goes, "You can heal me. You can heal me. You can do it." And I do it. And it's just really weird. And I heal him. And I said, I knew you could do it.
Wow.
And you do good. So like they did something, it was like they made me do something, not to prove to me, but if I can heal you, I'm going to try it. I'm going to do whatever I can to help. Okay. Right. It's almost like a test. They test people, right? See where you're going to be with it. And I turned back, and that spirit was gone, and he was a totally different. He was better, and he wasn't bitter, and he was happy. So it was interesting.
I heard that, Chris. So you're close. I heard the bell.
Just tell me your battery is running low.
Battery is running low.
I've got to tell you, Brian, we always have great shows together. And this show is one of the few shows. Well, they're all great, but we've resonated with me. This show is really resonating with me for a
Mhm.
lot of different levels. Every question I wrote for you, you answered. And we didn't. We didn't.
Can't help it,
Well,
Ross.
when we got together today, we didn't discuss a topic. We're gonna
No.
just do like we do.
Mhm.
That's one. Number two, I did have a very clear Jesus dream where I spoke to Jesus, I thought, and it was back. And I'm not going to tell this story because I got two other things I want to say.
Yeah.
It was back when I had with my wife when I saw Dark Shadow people. I saw an image of Jesus is clear, and he said something to me, which was just something like trust your will or something.
Yeah.
I'm not getting into that. Okay,
No, but it's reassuring though.
it is, and that's another story. But I got to ask you, this is about this astral projection, and these are two short, quick stories. Krista knows them both.
Sure.
But the first one, I'm giving you the background, and these both happened within 12 to the last 16 months. The first thing is I started studying astral projection and reading stuff, and I started at night. And you mentioned night, and at night, I would for about 3 weeks, Brian. I did this astral projection meditation. I had the TV on. I have a big screen TV, but it was darkness, and I had headphones on. And I'm just meditating, I was trying to astral project.
Yeah.
Nothing happened. The one night, something happened. Something happened where I'm sitting in front of the television. I'm meditating. This is about the third week, and I'm in the darkness of the house. And I'm in my chair, and all of a sudden, I had an out of body experience as to where I felt myself leave the chair I was sitting on. My physical body, Brian, was in the chair, and then I felt myself, and I saw myself. I was crawling on the floor for whatever the reason, and I went out around the TV, Sarah, going down a hallway. As I'm going down the hallway and I can see myself crawling. Then, for whatever the reason, Brian, I stopped. I turned around my right shoulder and I saw my physical body in the chair that I was sitting and doing the meditation.
You were doing it then.
So it scared the crap out of me. And I'm like, okay, wow. And I snapped out of it. So the second story is even weirder, but so I astral projected. I did something. I left my body.
Right.
Okay. So we were talking about now dreams we're talking about. So this is about 6 months later. My brother and my sister-in-law, they're in Las Vegas. I go to bed and I know they're in Vegas, no big deal. I'm at home. And all of a sudden I'm in this deep sleep. And when I dreamed, Brian, over the last 3 to 4 years, my dreams are extremely extremely vivid, like watching television, like I'm there. And I've got many of them, which I'm not going to get into, except for this one, for this particular story. I slip into this deep sleep, vivid dream. I'm in my favorite casino, the Flamingo in Las Vegas. And I am playing poker. I'm playing Texas Hold'em.
Right.
There's this creepy individual seated 2 players over on the end. Creepy. He reminded me of the guy from Phantasm.
Oh,
yeah.
The old boy? Yeah.
Yeah, old boy. And we're playing this hand of poker. And I'm not getting into all the details. A variety of raises went on. I go all in because I know this guy has to have 2 sixes to beat me, and the odds of him having that, he doesn't have. I had a full house, 3 aces, 2 kings,
Man.
whatever. So we turn over the cards, and in this dream, very vivid dream, this guy has 2 sixes hit the board, man. He ends up with 4 sixes. And I have the full house. He wins, right?
Right.
I'm like, man, you sucked out on me. I say to him in the dream, so I think. I get up, good luck, shake his creepy hand. I start walking. I'm in the Flamingo, very familiar. I've been there 20 times in the last 10 years.
Right.
I'm walking down a very familiar hallway. I know where I'm going, and I'm just going back to my room or whatever. Then all of a sudden, the room darkens. Now it's a dark hallway, and I'm walking down the hall. And then on my back of my right shoulder is a tap from this creepy dude's hands, and I turn around.
Right.
It's him. He goes, "You know I had you. Why'd you do that?" And I'm like, I didn't know. He goes, "Yeah, you did. Think about it." And then he disappears. And then he says, "I'll see you next time." So now I'm kind of freaking out. And all of a sudden, my dad's been dead for 8 years.
Right.
And my dad's in a lot of these vivid dreams. And my dad appears. He shows up. He goes, "Rob, you're in a bad place. I'm going to get you out of here." I go, "Yeah, thanks, Dad." Because a lot of the dreams I do have, Brian, I'm always lost and cannot get out of familiar surroundings.
Yep.
Okay. So I go, "Dad, hey, man, thanks." He reaches out his hand. I grab and I can feel my dad's hand in my palm. But he starts pulling me now. He starts pulling me. And he turns into the creepy old man. He says, "I'm taking you to the lake of fire." He's pulling me, and I see the lake of fire ahead. I'm going down lake of fire. I wake up, Brian. I wake up, middle of the night. I'm hot. I'm sweating. The bottom of my feet are on fire, man. It's funny because during this dream, I go live on YouTube because I got to tell people this is live. You guys go back in my archives. It's there, and I tell the story. It's a lot more detail. I spent 80 minutes talking. I'm doing this video live.
Yep.
I get a phone call. As I told you, my brother and sister-in-law are in Las Vegas. They're 5 minutes from the Flamingo. And after the show, they called me immediately. They watched the entire show, heard my entire spiel, much like I just told you, but there's a lot more details.
Right.
"Are you kidding me, Rob? You're not down to Vegas, are you? What are you doing?" I go, "No." He goes, "Yeah, well, we just happened to catch your live. We're in the room. We ran down to the Flamingo where you were playing cards because we just got this weird inclination to go. We know you're not there, but we looked around because you had us scared." I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry." They go, "No, you don't understand. We got to the hall, the poker room in the Flamingo, Rob. The bartender, Bert, Ernie, whatever his name was, the dealer. Hey, I just saw your brother Rob playing cards with some dude who took a bad beat."
Yeah, you were.
I was there.
You were.
Dude.
You got to understand something. Creepy guy is more than just creepy.
Okay.
Creepy guy is it's glad you pulled away from that lake of fire because you wouldn't have woken up. That should have gotten you very unnerved.
Oh, he did.
If you see the creepy guy again, you need to wake up and not play
Oh,
cards.
Brian, I had that same dream the next night. I didn't want to tell it.
Well, it's gonna because there's still a connection. That's how when that made an impression on you being there, he had you. If you're being pulled, and like I said earlier, when you are playing around with stuff or evil is there or spirits, they take you to the lake of fire. Okay. Bye, Krista.
Yeah.
Sorry,
she ran out of juice.
Ran out of battery. When they take you to the lake of fire, they will imitate your father to get you there to gain your trust. You trusted your dad, and your dad came in, and then you let your guard down, and that was a perfect opportunity for him to grab you. I don't think, my personal opinion is you were there. If the bartender and the person,
they told my brother, and
Karen,
they told me it was your brother because they all know we all go together a lot. They couldn't believe it. They said, "Wait a minute, you see my brother's like, no, wait a minute. No, my brother's in Michigan. He just did a podcast. He's not here. How did you see him?" But they're freaky because of what they were hearing me say on YouTube.
I would love, if I knew person of security there, to find exactly what date that was and say,
"Oh man,
I want to see the poker pit." because I will wager that you will see yourself playing poker with a really creepy old guy.
Well, that'd be great. And I've thought about it. My brother thought about that. But here's one other thing. So Karen, my sister-in-law, she's got her camera, and she's doing one of these, and she goes, "What table was he at?" And so they just start firing all these random pictures to send to me, but not random. They sent me like mostly the Flamingo poker room and the table that the bartender or the dealer where I was allegedly at, according to them. I don't have problems getting pictures from anybody. When you send me a picture, Brian, I get it. Boom, in minutes.
Right.
She goes, Rob, I'm going to send you right now. I took some pictures. I'm just going to send them to you. Just, people playing poker, just nothing crazy, just pictures, just for the hell of it. Do you know that the pictures of the poker table that I was allegedly at, according to the dream, those pictures, they never processed.
They're not going to.
Every other picture did except for the table that I was at.
Here's the problem. I went to Vegas. We did we did a anniversary in Vegas. Not my place. I don't like it.
You know
what? A lot of people do like it, but do you understand? In Stephen King's movie or book, The Stand, Vegas is the spot where evil
emanates.
Right.
Emanates, yeah.
And if you think about, and I'm not saying people of Las Vegas are dregs of society or evil or whatever, but I'm saying that there's a lot of negativity and a lot of bad things that happen in there. The town was built on a lot of death. It would be a playground for spirits to be there and be pervasive. So what's interesting is when you do astral projection or you do an out of body experience, known or not known, or you remote view, like I told you, I got caught.
Yeah.
Okay. But when I remote view and I go places when I want to go, I literally can see, hear, feel, taste, smell, and interact. I can touch you if I want, and you will feel that I'm there. I could I don't know how to make it so that you can actually see me, but the young kid, my friend's granddaughter did. You can do that in astral projection, out of body experiences. Now, if this was, I don't know when this took place. Is it fairly recent?
Well, the first when I had the out of body and watching myself in the chair.
Oh no, I'm talking about the poker one with
the first one was 16 months ago. The creepy one was.
Have you been back
8 months ago?
Okay,
maybe 6. I'd have to look it up. 6 to 8 months. Very recent.
I would literally recommend one. Don't go to Vegas for a while. Sorry to say it. Don't go.
But I wasn't there. Of course.
Yeah, no. I'm just saying.
I know it should be.
But what I'd also do is think about cleansing. So go out, get some salt, and fill up a bathtub with salt. I don't know if you have a bathtub in your house. Some places just don't have bathtubs anymore, and you soak in a bathtub, and you use the water to soak in the bathtub and let that go out. I would go, if you're a religious person, maybe look for a blessing from a priest, or go there, light a candle. And I also tell everybody to put a white golden light around you of God's protection with a mirror on the outside that you can see out of, but no one can see in, and then ground yourself. It's fine to go astral projecting because you want to, but if you start playing around and get into realms that you don't know where you are or how you got there, how to get back, that can be a problem. That's
I'll ask you this then. Like I did project the first time. The second time, Brian, after the first incident, it kind of freaked me out. I said, well, I don't think I want to experiment with this. I'll get with the professionals, quote unquote, to train me or whatever.
Right. You can do that.
But when the Vegas incident, I mean, I wasn't meditating. I wasn't trying. It just came to me in a dream, in a very vivid. I've had lucid, vivid dreams, Brian, but ever since I had my Bigfoot encounter,
Well,
very real,
like I said, in the beginning as well, you
Yeah.
are not like a normal person on this planet. You're more touch, more aware.
right.
Maybe the interaction between you and the Bigfoot actually helped to trigger something that helps you vibrate at a higher frequency. And that's why you are not like anybody else. And that's why Chris is not like. And a lot of people that are actually going out investigating have resonated a higher frequency. You also may be touched by God at certain points and protected. I know your dad is watching over you.
Yeah.
And I think he did play a role in that. I don't know where he was or if he was prevented. But
Mhm.
sometimes when you're dreaming and you go to a source that is surrounded by a lot more evil than good, like
Mhm.
Vegas,
Mhm.
have people losing their houses, risk, whatever. There goes your free will. It's all part of it. That is a playpen for other entities to go there and have their will. And if they take you to the ring, if you went to the sea, the lake of fire, you would not have woken up. You were protected and saved, and maybe that was what your dad did at one point.
Okay.
Even though he may have expended most of his energy in the process, and then when you wake, to get you to wake up. That reminds you of remember when Freddy Krueger came out? We're old enough to know. We're old enough to see the originals.
Yeah, right.
You know,
Yeah, which are the
die in
best.
your dreams, you die in real life, and that's the
Yeah.
truth. You die in your dreams, you die in real life. The whole
Mhm.
trick is trying not to die in your dreams. Um, but something also part of that. I don't know how many people in the chat or listening or now or in the future. Have you ever had a dream that you felt like you were on a roller coaster or an elevator dropping and you felt it in your stomach?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You know what was happening at that point?
Heart attack.
No, 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 no. God forbid. Been there, done that, Rob. I don't want
Yeah.
to go back.
Yeah.
You were getting back into your body from a astral projection.
Oh, okay.
And that jolt back in, or your that part of you, the vibration, the consciousness coming back in is that snap, and you're like, oh, like what's that?
Okay.
That's what you'll feel. A lot of people, I don't know, understand. I've always remembered my dreams. I'm just asking a question. I think it's Scott's life. Some people don't. The psychopath I married, she doesn't remember her things. A lot of people don't.
I remember all my dreams.
But I've always remembered my dreams from the day one. I remember everything. It's the coolest place to be because you can do whatever you want. You can fly, you
Yeah.
can
And
jump.
and again, God, we could go forever. I dream of parts 1 and 2 like a mini series.
I've had dreams or experiences that were so real and good and great and awesome.
Yeah.
I did not want it to end. I didn't want to wake up.
Yes. Yeah. Right.
And
Right.
I've had to a point where I've woken up because you have to use the bathroom, and you're like, oh God, please let me go back into that.
Yeah, I
And
done
then
that.
you get back into it, you're like, yes.
Yes, that has happened to me several times where it's a great dream, but I gotta get up, take the pee.
And then you're like,
Yeah,
please let me
and
get
then I
back
can
into
get
this.
back into it. And I will tell you this too on the flip side.
She was so good with me.
I've had dreams where they totally were very creepy, for lack of a better word, and I
You don't
will
want to
wake
go back to
up
sleep.
and I don't go back to sleep. I put on a pot
No,
of
I have
coffee.
those too. So basically, you being in this, you've had this your entire life, but you being more into this and discussing
Yeah.
it more, connecting with more people, you
Yeah.
really are. You're moving up in the vibration. That's why I was going like this.
Yeah.
When you vibrate at a higher frequency, the little crap doesn't bother you anymore. The little
Yeah.
stuff, the petty stuff,
Yeah.
is like that third grade spelling bee. It doesn't matter to me now. You
Right.
know,
Yeah.
and then there are other things. You may have had experiences that were really intense, like, I don't want to go back to sleep. I don't want to go through that again.
Yeah.
And I've had those. I've
I've done
woken
that.
up and like I'm sitting at the edge of my bed. I'm going, I'm not, nope, I'm good. I don't need to go back. And I'm tired and I want to go. Another thing is when you dream, when you have an experience and not just a dream, you wake up like you've been up all night working. Like you are exhausted. Like, oh my God.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, this show is really fabulous because just the other day, and yes, I have gotten dreams that scared me, or I did not go back to bed. 2 days ago,
Right.
last one that I had that scared me is I'm sleeping, and I'm stuffing a slinky down my mouth.
I
Yes,
can't explain that. I can't
this
explain that.
oh god, the slinky. Then I filled my mouth with tomato juice. The slinky started to rust and rip away my throat. And then I woke up and did not go back to bed because that was horrific.
Did you have any sore throats thereafter?
No, I did not. No, I did
Okay.
not.
Because okay, so I'm going to say this as well that a lot of times with people that have been abducted, and we already saw the anal probe comment, but the abduction may come out at, or that whole experience, they don't, if you don't have the constitution to handle what just happened, they'll try to erase it from your head, but sometimes your subconscious is so strong, but they'll make it into like when you're getting probed or they're putting something in you to get something
Okay.
and they pull it out, it hurts. You'll
Yeah.
remember it as the slinky in this case. Then there are times when you'll remember, I've had interactions with extraterrestrials that were dream time that were real, but they put it in a dream for me. But when people, when they know someone can handle something, that's when they let you remember everything. And that's when they start, allowing your offspring to interact with you a lot of times at a distance,
Okay.
and I always say the same thing. If I have alien kids, I want their social security number so I get the tax break. That's all,
Hey,
love
man,
you.
yeah.
Love you. Tell
Yeah,
mom
right,
up in Volusia to do well. I want the tax break,
Yeah, you
I'll
got
probably
10 kids. Boom. That's safe. That's
yeah.
$5,000, man.
Yeah, I have 16 kids. They're all from
Yeah.
Venus.
Yeah.
It's actually, yes, I've had a dream inside of a dream. Yeah, it's really weird. It was a dream of a dream of a yeah. I've almost like 3 dreams. Here's a growing up, we me and my buddy Andy, we go meet up and they go get some beers before heading over to the playground to meet the
Yeah.
friends, in high school, whatever.
Right.
And we were talking about a dream his dad had, and he told him this. And Andy used to write horror stories. His biggest, he was a big Stephen King fan. So his dad was sleeping in bed one night and he had this dream. He's being chased by this monster. So he's running, to get away from the monster. And he gets into this bathroom that appears, and he goes to the bathroom and he sees the monster in the mirror behind him, and he opens the mirror and the dream ends.
Okay.
So he has another dream where he's running and he goes down this hallway, dark hallway, the monster's coming at him. He looks in the mirror and the dream ends and he wakes up again in bed and he's sitting there. He's like, okay, it's only a dream. So he's been having this for a couple of nights now. And one night he's dreaming and he sees the monster, and I don't know. I mean, Andy described it as it was pretty hideous. It was like scary with fangs and the whole thing chasing after him, which would be like a Krampus, whatever. And he runs to the mirror, and it's gotten closer this time, and he sees it, but he opens the mirror and he wakes up and he sits in bed and he's sweating, covered in sweat, and like, breathing heavy, and he feels a tap on his shoulder and he hears, "Don't turn around."
Oh,
Just
boy.
like that. And I'm not really scared of much, but that would not make my night at this point, So that's pretty intense. If I'm tired and I'm really, really tired,
Yes.
I don't care who you are, you're gonna have to wait until I get some sleep. Like my Bigfoot investigation in April, I was so tired by the time I got back. It was hot. It was like 100 degrees, like 90 degrees humidity. I'm in longs and a sweatshirt. I'm sweating. My legs are burning because we're walking like 15 miles. And I'm like, if I got in my tent, which was lower on the ground, I never would have gotten up and been like, help.
Yeah, right.
I said, fuck it, I'm sleeping in my car. Sorry about the cursing.
Yeah,
And I slept in my car with my hand on my gun. And my car the new car is like, if it goes too long, it goes ding, it dings and it says in 30 minutes, we're shutting your car off. So you have to press a button, say, okay. And I have a,
yeah, I know what that is.
and at one point on the passenger window, like I had the AC going. So there's some condensation on it, but I had condensation on the passenger window. I just felt there was something looking at me through that window. And then I got a little bit of when you breathe on something and you get a little bit of more of the fog that comes in. And I saw a little bit and I said, you know what? I don't care. You can watch me all you want. I'm going to bed and just went to sleep. This lasted 2 hours. But when I got up, I was like, I remember that. And I walked to that side of the car. And on the other side of the car are knuckle prints in the ground right next to the car itself. So it was like resting on its arms, looking in.
Oh boy, God.
Yeah.
I gotta tell you.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Isn't it crazy? I mean, when you're tired and I could go on and on.
Yeah. You know what?
Yeah, I gotta answer this for Shelly really quick because she keeps asking. Okay, I'm going to keep asking on every podcast, blah blah blah. And I guess you can answer this. I have not. Has anyone ever had the deceased? Okay, Shelly, I'm going to keep asking on every podcast, etc. Has anyone experienced or had the deceased, our company, and something else's in the same area, room, and communicating?
I'm not understanding that, Shelly.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Has anyone else had? Okay. Has anyone had the deceased, our company, and something else? I don't know what deceased you're talking about. What's the company, as in company, as in a corporation or people, and something else?
Yeah.
I don't know what something else is. I know that you can say something, but I just don't understand it.
Yeah, Shelly, it's pretty cool. I get how this has the deceased in the company. Oh,
yes, I know. Okay, so say yes or no. So what you're saying is, has anybody had someone who's passed away, extraterrestrials, and a watcher? Are you mean a watcher as in the Watchers, or a spirit? Because she's writing it over there.
Okay, see, something else, watcher.
Something else, watcher. So yes, I've been in places where I've had a watcher type of thing. I know there was someone who had passed away that was there, and there were extraterrestrials. I was doing the Gateway tapes, and the Gateway tapes are the CIA tapes. It's like six sessions, or it goes from 1 to 6. And there are multiple sessions per disc, and it helps you to astral project and do whatever. You can find them on YouTube. Go take a look. You don't have to pay for that crap. And I got up to one point where you're phase 10 or force 10, I forgot what they call it, something 10. And I literally was not where I was in Florida anymore. I literally transformed myself. I moved. I was in a desert place, and there was, like, in the middle of this out of nowhere, a fortress, 4 walls, and they were on the wall areas there. Every so many feet were what looked like archways, long archways, but they had watchers with the long hood. You couldn't see their faces, their arms within their robes, just staring there. And I got there, and before I get to that spot, I was greeted by someone that had been deceased, that I know. And I was like, They just said, you got to go that way. So I went that way. And as I went that way, when I started coming down and getting closer, the watchers, all that were standing there like this, they all looked at me like this. So I got caught. So I'm like, how the hell am I going to get out of here? And then I saw a craft, an extraterrestrial craft. That was not the TR3B, which would be the triangle one. This was, I knew it was extraterrestrial. But yeah, no, they were all there at once.
Wow.
It was weird. It still
it
freaks
is,
me out
man.
that you can get caught doing it and not doing anything. You know, Jessica Jones, I wonder about it. I mean, the government, you know, the government does use remote viewing and remote viewers as security guards on their facilities.
Yeah.
They know
They're
you're
on your-
there.
They're on
And
your
what's interesting about remote viewing and when you know something, you know everything about them. Like that. I could never have met you before, and I'll get everything I need to know about you.
a
Name,
remote viewer. Or
100%.
yeah.
It's weird.
That is weird. I mean, well, that's that all started with the psyops, right? Wasn't that put in place by the CIA? Was
Yeah.
that and
So yeah, it was started partially by them. General Stubberbine, Men Who Stare with Goats.
Mm.
So I do a show every other Thursday for a specific show called Awaken Nation. A little bit more
Okay.
political, so I'm just letting you know. But I do more, this stuff. Try to leave people with positive stuff.
Yeah.
And my segment's a half an hour.
Okay.
One of my friends, I just was with him this weekend looking. I got invited to go on a tour with him and his group, a gun collectors group out of Virginia, private tour of the largest private collection of firearms and stuff and equipment. Great guy from a Night Armament up in Titusville. And it worked out for me because the two cases I'm working on out of Titusville, one is an ET that's in the woods, okay, that some kids found. And I asked about that and didn't get any, people were very tight-lipped.
Yeah.
And another is I went to the Kennedy Space Center. And they were going to launch the SpaceX a day or two ago. And we stayed there for that. But we were in the woods by the Kennedy Space Center. And in July of this year, a male Bigfoot was sighted there.
Okay.
And
Wow.
when we drove past and we went in a little bit, you can see the typical markings of this creature. So I know it was there, but it being by the Kennedy Space Center, the minute you park on the side of the road or do something, you're on, it makes your life much more difficult. So I couldn't investigate perfectly, but since I was with a lot of people that worked for the government or in the government, I'm going to try to get access so I can let's let him have access there. He's a Bigfoot guy, which is good. But my friend that invited me, I've known since I'm 6. He met Stubblebine, who started Men with Goats. That is a true story. Men Who Stare at Goats. And last Thursday, I did my show and I was talking about this month is going to be great for everybody, by the way. On 1/11, 11/1, the first month, first day of the month in November, it was a new moon in Scorpio where you should have been manifesting. Then on 11/11, we have a portal opening, the 11/11 portal, which is important for manifestation and protection. And then we have 11/19, November 19th. It is the end of a 15-year cycle for all the signs, but especially the cardinal signs, Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. And it's like for the last 15 years of your life, if you're one of those, have you felt like you were coming and going, like you couldn't get a break or whatever? All that crap ends.
Okay.
It's going to be great for everybody. So don't forget those dates.
Well, I won't. What you need to do late tonight or tomorrow, I know it's getting late. Send me all your new links. What I'll do is I'm going to put all your links in this for the people that watch later. Many people are going to watch over the weekend.
Not a problem.
And also, one last thing, I just realized this. Sir Bryan Bowden, remote viewer host. Now what the hell? Now it's the Third Eye Live. Is that another?
Third Eye Live was supposed to start in September.
Okay.
The problem is, StreamYard went nuts and they got acquired by another company and they're charging way too much money.
Oh yes, we've
So
all gone
plus I
through
had
that.
certain issues family wise, but I couldn't do it. Then
Yes.
we had the hurricanes,
Yeah.
and then almost a tornado that went through my house. But I found software that I'm going to use that's like StreamYard. It's the same price that I was paying previously. It does a bit more. I can tell you about it in the future. And
Yeah,
I will
please
be
do.
starting up Third Eye Live. And the way I'm doing Third Eye Live is this is how I'm doing for everybody. What role does your consciousness, your third eye play in what you do and your outcomes? When you're an artist, when you're a musician, when you're a psychic, when you get that feeling, like that uneasy feeling, which could be your third eye, like I shouldn't go in there. I have a bad feeling about whatever. And I'm trying to take live calls for people. So like literally
Oh
I'll say,
yeah, that's great. Yeah.
if you know, I'll put a number up there. It gets risky because when you don't know who you're talking to,
No, yeah.
I gotta put up that disclaimer.
Well,
And we're gonna have psychics do real like readings so that people can they can actually, I'm gonna interview people how it works in psych, being
yeah.
a tarot card reader or psychic, and see if they can answer questions for people in the audience. Leave them with something
Well,
positive.
that's a great idea. And we'll talk not tonight, maybe in a couple of days.
Yeah.
I'd like to. Oh, and by the way, with the
And Michigan Rock
StreamYard,
too.
the StreamYard has gone. Hey, listen, it's
Yeah,
triple. Okay, I think it was $50 I was paying. Now it's a buck, 300. They want like $300.
it's too
I mean, it's
expensive.
so for everybody that wonders what I do with the super chat money, I
Yeah.
dump it all into YouTube. Thank you to all you guys for that.
I'll let you
I
in on
don't go out and have a steak dinner, you guys. It goes into the YouTube channel.
just
Internet
to the
cost.
YouTube channel and bandanas. That's what it goes for.
Yes, I know.
We're still
And
working. I'm still looking. I may have found a solution, so I'll talk to you
well,
later.
yeah, we could talk about that. But what I'd like to do, again, this whole show resonates. I want to set up something the first of the year. I'd like to pipe in and I want to do the old Art Bell type thing. I was thinking about doing like a late night show. Hell, I'm on 3 nights a week and having calls, random calls. I like to pipe a phone line into the studio
We can do
and
that. I can tell you how
take
to do
that
it.
chance and answering it,
I can tell you how to do it.
which is more money, of course, But
No, I'll talk to you
okay,
afterwards.
we'll talk. Okay,
I'll tell you. It's simple. You may have to buy a connection thing for your computer,
okay.
but it's not that bad, and you can get it done.
Because a lot of people like to call in versus coming on the show and showing their face,
Some
which I
people
get.
can't come on. I'll tell you what. Because I'm a brother, I'm trying to get Dr. Scott Walther on. The
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
and some other people, and I'd love to get him on in the house or whatever. But I'm gonna be doing it Wednesdays from 8 to like 9 minimum,
Yeah.
maybe 9:30, whatever. And he's wherever he is. He's going on tours. He's doing X, Y, and Z. So the only way you can get him is this video thing.
Mm.
But I think that would be great to have a
Oh, yeah.
live call-in show.
I've been thinking about this for a long time, and always trying to evolve and make the show better. But yeah, and yes, a couple of people asked for your links, and I got one of your links in this. But
I
when I
put
get the
one,
new links, I'll put them all in here.
100%. I'm actually just doing. I used to have like the New York State UFO project. This New York State Sasquatch, UFO, but it's like I don't want to manage all that. I want to go into one spot, like you have. Even though you have BMR, it's in one spot. So I did it at Bryan Bowden with a Y, BryanBowden. It's YouTube. You'll see my ugly mug up there. And I'm gonna do like what do you call those? Like different, are they called groups or whatever? I forgot what they call them on YouTube, but playlists.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna make it so there'll be
Yeah.
Third Eye Live, there'll be my music, there'll be shorts, there'll be whatever. So if I'm doing just tarot card readers or whatever, eventually if you have the same people over again, you may just have a reel for whatever. If I have BMR, you on numerous times, you'll have a section. So
Thank you.
it's
That'd be
just gonna
great.
be
Yeah.
easier to handle it that way.
No, that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Condense it one spot for everything. That's the way to go because
Right.
people, the audience wants it easy, like we all do, and I get that and respect that because
And things
we
aren't
want.
becoming easy. You used to be able to stream to this.
Oh yeah, I know, man.
And Facebook became, like prima donnas. Now with this, some of the new software, which is good, they help you to stream and you get to Rumble, where you can stop the stream at one point on this and then continue on Rumble and don't have to worry about what you say to X, Y, and Z. Not you want to go crazy,
Yeah,
but it works out better. Or you can make it so that, hey, if you're a member of the BMR Pirate Club here,
Yep.
then you get to watch the second hour now instead of me releasing it a month from now.
Great idea. I'm still waiting for my interview with George Nuri to be released. They
Thank
wanted
you
to
for
charge
everything
me.
that
They wanted to
subscribe.
charge.
I'm
Yeah,
working.
they
He
wanted
wants
to
to what?
charge me. George Nuri wanted to charge me to watch my own show. You can't just send me the link. I'm not going to post it.
You know what? I tried to get, and I didn't want to get him on personally. I just don't like him. I think
Yeah.
he's like a used car salesman. I asked Dr. Greer to come on when we were doing
Oh, yeah.
Inside the Goblin Universe. I
Yeah.
got a manifesto back about an inch thick with questions. How much are you going to be paying, Dr. Greer? What is your audience like?
What?
So I filled out the questionnaire and basically said,
Okay.
I don't get paid, so he doesn't get paid. I know he had the movie that was coming out. I said, he gets to promote the movie. So they didn't give
Right.
me him, but I got Steve Alton, the author of Meg, that they made the
Yeah.
movie out of.
Oh,
And we
wow.
interviewed
Okay.
him. He was fantastic. Unfortunately, I think he has like Parkinson's or something
Oh,
else, and he's not well, and I wish him the best. But he came on reluctantly. He went, well, my publicist told me to come on. I thought this was going to be a S fest, but you guys asked really good questions. I can't wait to come back. And I was like, yeah, it's great.
yeah.
Yep.
I got you.
Yep.
Yeah, this is a great time, man. I always love when you come on. This is a great show, man. This is what, shoot, almost 2.5
Thanks,
hours,
Brady.
which is awesome.
I
2.5
appreciate
hours
Yep.
on the election night.
Yep.
After we sign off, I'm gonna go check out my TV and see what the
Yeah,
hell's going
I'm
on
gonna
in this
fly right
beautiful
now,
country of ours, you know?
but listen, everybody, stay positive this month
Yeah.
either way. And buy ammo.
Donnie. Hey, Donnie. Dr. Greer looks like a swole
I know, I
homer.
saw that. I saw that. Yeah, he does. He
Donnie
looks
Show says
he
so.
looks like Mr. Burns's best buddy, Well, Smithers, who would bend down backwards
Yeah,
for me?
and
I
I
wouldn't.
gotta tell you, even before the word was out on Dr. Greer, I could just never get into any of his
Okay.
lectures,
Yeah.
you know? I
He
mean,
charged for everything. People paid $200+ for the app, the CE5 app,
oh my
which is just
gosh.
some recording. Everything was just it's a sideshow. And did you see what happened with Lou Elizondo and the light fixture?
I missed the
oh,
light
it's
fixture.
it's magical. He said it was it's a
Yeah,
UFO. No, it's a light fixture in your house. Dave Scott put
yeah,
up
yeah.
the Lou Elizondo.
I seen that on YouTube.
Right.
Yeah,
So I said to him, because I got so much crap from people, I was the only one that said, I don't trust this man as far as I can throw him. I appreciate what he does for our government, but if you
yeah,
think, which is lying and deceiving, but if you think that man's telling you the truth, I got a bridge outside my house. I'm going to sell you.
yeah.
Yep.
I've heard more negative
You
about
lizard.
Lou than positive, but
It is what it is, but
it is what it is. And people do what they want to do with their own belief system and
Yeah.
shows and this and that. But hey, that's cool because a lot of people, that's why we do these shows, right? It's for
Yes,
everybody, and everybody can formulate your own opinion, what your thought process is. We just sit here and present you information, man, and
that's all I do.
experiences, and that's it. Just the information, and we
I
can make
wish you
our
the
own.
best.
Take the information, do what you want with it, just like the election. Thanks to everybody that voted, regardless of your party. You did your duty if you voted, regardless of your
Yes.
candidate, because that is still That's still something we all still have today.
You
Whether
know,
we, so.
exactly. And that's why I voted Donnie Cho. And wrote him in.
Yeah,
And,
well,
Donnie, get ready.
I will tell you this before we leave. Years ago, I wrote my name in because my one candidate was Ross Perot, and I forgot who he was running against.
Look at this
Oh,
pack. Look at this pack.
yeah. Oh, you Texans.
Yep.
Yeah, but I remember that guy. That was something else. And I was young and dumb back then.
Linda LaRouche. Ross Perot. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
But
I
anyway.
ran. I asked my friend Hector Colazzo, I grew up with, who was a Marvel comic artist for both Marvel and DC. Really great guy. Unfortunately passed away. I said, Hector, do you want to be my vice president when I run for president of the country? He's like, what? I'm like, yeah, I'm going to run for president of the country. He goes, yeah, I'll do it, but why me? I said, Hector, I need the Puerto Rican vote. Let's go. Come on.
Yeah, there you go.
He's like, okay, I'm in.
Hey, the one thing about the voting, and we'll be done, and I'm not getting political. The one thing, though, about people that do vote, and thank you if you're 18-year-olds can vote. And I remember my friend from high school when we were able to vote, and we're talking, and we know nothing at 18 about politics. I mean, I didn't start investing my energy until I was in my 30s, to be honest. I go, who'd you vote for, Kelly? Her name was Kelly. I voted for that Michael Dukakis. And I said, well, why? She goes, oh, the name sounded cool and I like his hair.
That is,
I tell you what, that's where a lot of our votes go. Still, these kids, God love them, God bless them. They're our future. But man, only in America.
Oh, only in America. And let's hope we still have one.
Now it's going to be America. America.
You got to go America.
America.
Yeah. So
thank you so much, Mr. Bowden.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me back on. I loved everybody.
Yeah,
look, I'm on Facebook. I'm on Facebook, Bryan M. Bowden.
Yes.
Questions, but please say, hey, I saw you on Bigfoot Michigan Rob show. I pop up, whatever the question is. And I know Shelly was saying some things, but Shelly, if you want to send me a message, and I'll talk with you. I have no problem. But thanks again, Rob.
And by midday tomorrow, Bryan, send me all your links. I'll put them right in the show, and everybody can check it out.
You got it.
Thank you, Bryan. I appreciate you as always. We'll talk soon about that other stuff. Everybody have a great night. Go check out the election.
Yep. Peace.